Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Wynonna Earp cast panel for QFX CloudCon. What an exciting day. I am so thrilled to be here as your moderator. My name is Jen Tidwell. Most people know me from the Earp Fiction Addiction podcast, and it is my absolute pleasure to be moderating for you today. We have with us a couple of fantastic ASL interpreters. Thank you so much for your work you do today. I will do my best to speak slowly and clearly so that you're not having to keep up with somebody going off at 1,000 miles an hour. All right, well, I know everyone here knows everybody on this screen, and you don't really need introductions, but I'm giving you introductions anyway. Please welcome our very own Mother of Dragon, singular, our Queen of Quips, Twitter Storm-born showrunner of Wynonna Earp, the amazing and immeasurable Emily Andras.
Hi guys, what's
We
new?
are also thrilled to have with us as well the kindest person ever to play the meanest character, the Krilla who played Willa, the generous and delightful Natalie Krill.
Woo!
And of course, words cannot express how lucky we are to have our own triple threat writer, director, and actor. She plays Nicole hot, but perhaps her most important role is as Bernie Beretti's mom. Please welcome Kat Barrell.
Amazing.
Oh, how are you doing today? I think we had a little excitement yesterday from what I heard. I don't know.
Is anyone watching this? Is this live?
I'm not sure.
I hope so.
Probably
okay,
not.
good.
Probably.
Yeah, yesterday was crazy. Yesterday was so crazy, you guys. I saw a squirrel. What else happened?
I remember, there was some squirrel activity here in Western Washington, USA as well. Yeah. And also, I don't know, was there a trailer, a date announcement, something to that effect?
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't know if anyone noticed, but
yeah.
Kat and I noticed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we've got a date.
I know.
We know that on July 26th, a Sunday at 10 p.m., Wynonna Earp is coming back. How thrilled and excited are you?
So good, man. What a sigh of relief. I mean, Emily, we've all been in it together, but I feel like you've been the one in all those calls, all that behind the scenes. Like, did you just
No, I feel like it's all of us. Thank you, sweetie. But honestly, I feel like they can't take it back now. Like they put it on. It's like legal. It's a legally binding
trailer release,
television series trailer, which is the most binding legal document you can have. I'm just so happy. I was really nervous. Yesterday was so emotional. I don't know. I was just it was such a crazy day. I was really nervous. I felt like there was a lot of pressure. I don't know if you guys felt like that, just because, look, people have been waiting a long time for this. But you're all so amazing. I'm excited. I'm just thrilled we're able to deliver in such a tough time too, right?
Yeah, definitely needed. I think we're all feeling the weight of 2020 just as a year right now. A lot going on. So, Kat, you're the only cast member that we know for sure in this panel is in season 4. Has the first 6 episodes that you guys have filmed, did it present you with any unique or difficult acting moments or physical challenges that maybe pushed you a little more out of your comfort zone than in previous seasons?
Yes. The answer is yes to all of those questions. I've been given so many gifts by Emily and the whole team at Wynonna Earp this year. We are seeing Nicole in a different way than we've ever seen her before. And I felt so challenged by the amazing scripts that we got to play in this first 6. I just felt like every episode there was so much to try and do, and I was just so exciting. I mean, as an actor, the best part about working on Wynonna is it's never the same. You open up the next episode, you're like, what are we going to get into this time? And that's what I love about doing this sci-fi as a genre too, is just that there's so many opportunities for play and nothing's ever as it seems. And it's so wonderful to get to go to work every day and feel like it's a new challenge and just something different. And you're always pushing yourself. And I love the creativity too. I love that like all the departments, the crew is so excited to be back, and just everyone just loves the show so much. And I think you could feel the energy from everyone, and just because of the way Wynonna Earp is, everyone gets to be so creative. And I think that's just the best part about working on the show, is like every episode is something completely different, and that's what makes it so amazing.
Oh, that is absolutely wonderful. Yes. And that's, you can see the joy as well come through in not only the episodes and the performances, but also just your interaction on social and just how engaged you are. Just the passion is there, and it's just wonderful to see. Emily.
I want to talk about Kat first, because she's way too modest.
Please do go for it.
Too modest. She's way too Canadian. And I want to announce, we were talking about this earlier, I'm so excited to write a sequel, a remake of Splash, featuring Kat and that hair as the Daryl Hannah mermaid character, and then Natalie Krill as the Tom Hanks character. I'm going to make it happen. I feel like if I just put these things out into the universe, it's going to come true. But
this is true.
They're so gorgeous. I would just like to say, like, particularly Kat is so good in season 4, and you were so game. I was like, we're really going to push you. We really want to push Nicole, try all sorts of things. When you see both physically and emotional, all the things we kind of put Nicole through, nobody's panicking when they hear that. I just think Kat rose to every occasion. She's such a pro. Her range just gets bigger and better. So if you like Nicole, I don't know if anyone does as a character, it's such a good season for Nicole. And honestly, I feel like Kat's work this year, you think she can't top herself, but it's phenomenal. And we did put a lot on you, baby. And you just were like, yep, sure, okay. So I'm really excited for people to see what you do, what you've done.
Thank you, Emily. That's so kind. I'm so appreciative.
Super true. It's super true.
It was so fun. I can't wait to just keep going.
Sorry, Jen, I interrupted, but I just had to interrupt that very polite Canadian who was giving credit to everyone else. So
hey, you can always interrupt me to gush about Kat. That is not an issue at all. Not an issue at all. But I do have a question for you, though, Emily.
Okay.
There was just a little bit of a break between season 3 and season 4. I don't know if you really noticed it. But how has the time away from Wynonna Earp affected your vision of where the story goes from here? You know, with the current state of the world, you know, have you had to go back and look at scripts that are complete and not shot yet and adjust things?
That's a great question. Thanks, Jen. I do think like the funniest thing about Earp as a show is it's both like blessed and cursed in a weird way. Like it's just drama all the time, right? Just crazy. What's next? Super volcano? Bring it on. Just kidding. Please don't. Please, universe, don't bring that on. You know, what's kind of interesting is the truth about season 4 is there's just, I don't know if anyone remembers the end of season 3. God, I hope you remember it at all. But a lot of stuff just happened that has to be resolved one way or another. Everyone is missing. Waverly and Doc are in the garden. Nicole and Robin and Jeremy are who knows where. Valdez has been carved into the homestead. It's Wynonna left with Nedley, the dream team, maybe, I don't know. So certainly there are just questions that have to be answered no matter what, you know what I mean? So I feel like the delay didn't really stop us as far as having to give satisfactory resolutions to those storylines. But really, what really struck with me with the time away is it gave me, everything's always so fraught and frantic when you're in production and then you're in editing and then you're kind of selling the show. I had a bit of a break and it really allowed me to go back to like season 1 and season 2 and season 3 and remember what has made this show so special, or at least beloved by the fandom. And then of course we had this sort of incredible phenomenon, which was all these Earpers, all these fans who kind of picked up the gauntlet and fought with us to bring it back. And I feel like a lot of those themes about kind of like the underdogs fighting for what's important and not giving up and finding ways to do it without losing your soul, you know, like polite no chill all the way forever. I hope those themes have kind of infused season 4. Just the idea of like this ragtag team of underdogs fighting for each other and for what's right. I think you hopefully will see some of those themes reflected in the season.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure we will. And I am super duper excited to see those elements start to to sneak in, or maybe just be completely obvious and overt. I don't know. Haven't seen it yet. Excited, July 26th.
Or like Wynonna punch Nicole, one or the other. We don't know. Or both.
So for all of you, I'm interested in how you view the current landscape of queer content on television. When Wynonna Earp started, Lexa had just happened, and it kind of slid into an empty spot left by Clexa, and that betrayal, honestly. But in the years since, there's been a lot of positive change. I mean, do you feel that? Emily, does it get talked about in the writer's room? Is there a sense that others are joining the race, and now Wynonna Earp has to keep up? Not only in its physical depiction with Way Hot, but in the types of queer stories it tells alongside the main arcs.
That's a great question, and I can't wait to hear what the actresses think about this too. I've been very lucky because I started on a show called Lost Girl, and because of my own history, and because I honestly work in Canadian TV, which maybe is a little more progressive. As far as like sliding into the spot that Lexa vacated, for lack of a less sad word, I don't know. We were very lucky in that we were kind of working in a bubble, and we had certainly written the Nicole Hot storyline. We fell in love with Kat and her portrayal. I was lucky enough to know about the bury your gays kind of trope, for example. We had written a Bulletproof Vest and filmed it well before kind of the whole Lexa controversy happened. So we kind of did the right thing just because we did it, but I'm quite proud of that because we didn't do it in response. We did it because that's what we felt was right. But I continue to learn. Do you know what I mean? I think I'm very honest about mistakes I've made in the past. I think we're all learning. It's a very unusual time for storytelling insofar of like who gets represented, who maybe gets eliminated. I don't know what other way to say that. Representation, is really tricky right now. Like there's lots of ongoing roles on Wynonna Earp are villain roles, and they're really juicy and delicious. We have Natalie Krill here, just like such an incredible nuanced performance, for example. But when you're talking about diversity, how do those things meet? Do you know what I mean? Like, am I casting diversely, even if it's a role that maybe ends up with the hero eliminating that character? I do think things are changing, and I don't think they're changing quickly enough. I think more and more queer content in particular is showing up. I think lots of people are learning how to do it in a respectful manner. And what I look forward to just from a storyteller perspective is I can't wait for the day where queer content is so pervasive in the same way hetero content is kind of pervasive, that we allow queer performers to kind of fill those roles that maybe we're cautious to let them fill right now. Like I would love to see a queer Hannibal Lecter, or, but honestly, like it's things you want to, or a trans Hannibal Lecter, a trans villain, just a delicious role. Like I just want it to be pervasive and normalized enough that we get the best performer in the best role. Does that make sense? I think that's something we're still struggling with. And look, we have queer representation in our writing room. We have lots of healthy debates about how we're going to portray these characters, while also keeping all our characters in Wynonna Earp three-dimensional. I feel like if they're not three-dimensional, we're dead. But I've spoken too much about it. It's certainly an ongoing struggle, and I am always learning. But we've obviously struck gold with the people who portray these characters, and that has made all the difference.
Natalie, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Emily said. I feel like I am seeing a lot more queer representation in shows and films, but I agree. I would love to see it be more commonplace. And for what I noticed too in a lot of shows is it's like the best friend is queer, rather than the lead. Mm-hmm. And so I'm waiting for it to just be normal for the lead, to just be whatever sexuality they want to be and not have it be so predominantly heterosexual. But I know this isn't talking about Wynonna Earp, but the film I did, Below Her Mouth, when I did that, people were like a lot of comments that I got were like, well, there was already blue as the warmest color. And it's like, and I remember thinking, I was like, so Like,
yeah. Like,
like,
can there only
why-
be one? Yeah.
why can there only be one? Like, there's so many heterosexual love stories. Why can there only be one that's about gay women, you know?
Yeah.
So that's, like, to Emily's point, I would love to see it to just be more pervasive and more commonplace to see those stories told.
Absolutely. Kat?
I too have noticed a great improvement, even just seeing breakdowns, because we get casting breakdowns talking about characters. And I just know, like, of conversations I've had on other shows that I'm working on, where perhaps you wouldn't think that those conversations are being had, and there are a lot of people working really hard to push like the most giant rock up the hugest hill to create more diversity. And I'm so bolstered by those conversations, that I'm having the conversations on more than one show that I'm working on. And I just think that speaks volumes to how much better aware people are thinking about representation and working hard to make it happen. And that makes me really hopeful. I've definitely noticed an improvement, and it makes me hopeful. We've still got a long way to go, and things don't move as quickly as perhaps a lot of us would like. I know as quickly as I would like, but I'm definitely bolstered by, especially in this past, I'd say 2 years. I just personally have noticed a lot of really positive change and a lot of great stories being made. And I don't know if it's because I'm in the Wynonna Earp world, and so maybe more of that stuff is coming my way. I'm not sure. But I'm definitely, I know that we're moving in the right direction. I know that the change is happening, and for that, I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And as a viewer, I too can say that we've definitely seen a lot more positive representation in all aspects of the LGBTQ community. We've got a long road to go still, but we're further down than we've been at any point until now. So Emily, a fun little way hot question, at least I think. It's no secret that queer female identified folk love processing. It's like our national pastime.
I can't wait to figure out what this question is going to be. Oh my God. Yeah.
One of the running jokes within the fandom is that we never see Way Hot have a State of the Union discussion of their relationship on screen. Now, acknowledging that the show is Wynonna Earp and not Way Hot's deep chats and sexy time, and that the Sorry Party and Doll's Apartment scenes definitely fall into the category of deep conversations. It would still be nice to see them have even more meaningful conversations in season 4, with the assumption that Waverly is rescued from the garden and reunited with Nicole.
Who's Waverly? Just kidding.
Can we hope to see something like this either before or after an Earp Sisters fireside chat?
I love that Jen started soft and then she just went for the jugular. God bless, 2020, baby. Look, I know people love that. I do think it's not always a feelings party. I'm very happy this was about processing the relationship. I thought it was going to be about Nicole Hot doing paperwork. So I'm thrilled. Look, I think that if a reunion happens, I think so much unanswered trauma and tension has happened in this relationship. And Kat, please leap in if you want.
I'm so afraid to spoil.
I know. I'm so no, it's okay.
Take it.
No, baby, you're good. You're good. The trailer's out. We got 3 more weeks. We'll be fine. So we spoil it. Whatever. I do think there's room for those conversations. Look, let's not deny the fact that there was a proposal at the end of season 3 under very kind of loaded circumstances. It felt kind of impromptu. I think that Nicole very wisely maybe didn't say yes or no. I don't know if anyone noticed that. They have a lot to talk about. And first they have to find one another. But I do think there's room to maybe talk about what their relationship means and how to define it. And maybe define it in a world much like 2020 that is full of danger and pitfalls and constant peril. How do you kind of carve out a romance that's meaningful and friendships and stuff like that? And look, I know people just would love it all to be talking, but it is a supernatural genre show, and like occasionally we have to shoot a demon in the face. I'm so sorry, guys. Just fast forward through that part. But I've heard those notes. You know what I mean? And I do think that part. I love seeing Way Hot start from kind of, you know, those first meetings of passion, and now they're a real couple. They're going to have to figure this out going forward if Waverly is still around. Anyway, that's my last thing I'm going to say. Kat?
Cool.
You'll be fine. You're going to kill it.
I think just to piggyback on what Emily said, I think there's definitely a lot of processing of, I love how you put it, Emily, like I often wonder about Nicole and Waverly. How do they even have time for romance? Like, how are they even making this work? You know, I mean, they're
constantly interrupted.
They're constantly interrupted, not only by Wynonna, but just by chaos. And I think there is definitely I can feel those moments have been written into the scripts, and in the realm of Wynonna Earp and staying true to the tone and pace of the story, I think there are some moments that people will be very happy to get to watch these characters work through.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
This isn't being recorded, right? We'll just deny it later.
It's just between us here. It's just the few of us chatting, right?
There's no
no one else is here.
Training for a politician than doing these panels on the episodes.
I know. Like, you guys are always great. You guys are always great. No, you're doing great.
So Natalie, let's chat about Willa for a second, if we may. How did Willa shape Waverly? And why did Willa continue to treat her poorly even into adulthood when she got her memories back and knew who she was? Do you feel?
Oh, well, I mean, how did she shape Waverly? I mean, she wasn't, I guess she was around for like, how old was Waverly when Willa left? She was maybe 7. Yeah.
Around there.
But I think maybe, I mean, Willa, I think, was quite hard on her, quite tough on her, a lot of tough love. So, you know, hopefully gave her some tough skin for all the demon fighting that she has to do. But then later when she comes back, I think like Willa feels really left out and jealous of the relationship that Wynonna and Waverly have. So I think Willa is taking that out on Waverly. I think there's a lot of jealousy going on between Willa and Waverly. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
And then that just drove her to continue to be essentially a bully. Willa wouldn't see it as she's bullying, though.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's tough. Like, if you look at the reality of Willa, like, she's lived a really traumatic life. So I think it's like PTSD. She's lashing out at Waverly in ways because she doesn't know how to deal with her emotions. She doesn't know how to deal with what she's feeling. And it comes out on Waverly because she's sweet and she's kind, and that probably triggers Willa in ways, you know, that she can't, because she can't go there. She can't be that sensitive, vulnerable, you know, pure
angel.
Yeah, she's lost her innocence. So
so
Kat,
well said.
Yeah, really well said. Yeah. Kat, Nicole senses Willa's moral dubiousness from the start. How do you think she knew?
I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it by saying like Nicole has a good sense for people, but I think Nicole's intuition for somebody's heart has always been pretty strong. I think that's why she always worked so hard on Wynonna, because she instinctively knew that underneath was like a really kick-ass awesome person who was just really scared
with the top shelf
had a lot of with the top shelf. Yeah, and I think Nicole, partially, I wonder if with people who work as police officers or as in the medical field or professions where you're constantly working with people in really stressful situations, I wonder if you develop a bit of a set, like, I feel a lot of actors have this, and I don't know, Em and Nat, if you have feelings on this, but like, I think when you work in a profession where part of your job is to analyze people and figure out why they do what they do, that you do develop like a little bit of a intuition sometimes for personalities. I don't know. But I think Nicole has that. She's just really good at reading people. And I think she just didn't get good vibes from Willa. And she knew that there was an ulterior motive. I mean, they never really spent time together, but I just think it was one of those situations. She was like, I don't really like you. There's something about you.
I think Nicole might be our most intuitive character. I think her gut is just flawless. Both physically, just kidding, I won't go there. No, like honestly, I just think like
it's okay. It's not good. Yeah.
It's so good. Okay, no, we're not talking about your abs for 10 minutes, but I will.
I was also like, she takes probiotics.
Oh, I was talking about digestion.
I was talking about your amazing abs because I'm a gentle perv, as we all know. Just kidding. I love you the most. I think, but I do think that's the truth about Nicole. And like, God, this is getting so deep. And Nat, I loved your answer so much. But like, this is the problem with the cycle of abuse, right? Which is kind of like such a core of what is happening on Wynonna Earp, even though it's such a fun show, is like these girls, because of the curse and their father, have just been constantly abused by abusers. So I feel like it speaks, Nat, as well to your nuanced performance, that there's so many Willa lovers and apologists in the fandom. They get it. And they're like, let's not forget that she was this young girl who was like groomed to be a killer by an alcoholic father and then kidnapped by Bobo. I mean, there's such a sadness to her. And I do think this is so serious. I'm so sorry, Jen, but I'll just finish by saying like, that's the problem with the cycle of abuse is like, someone has to get out of it, right? Someone has to be brave enough to be like, I'm not going to let my past define me. But I really, really feel for Willa when she's mean to Waverly, who everyone loves, because I feel like Willa never got that. But also, Kat, I agree. Like Nicole's priority is the woman she loves, is Waverly. So like, even if Willa is a complicated person with PTSD, she has to protect her own, you know what I mean? And she knows that Waverly is a good person. But I really think that you're right. I think Nicole's the most intuitive. Her instincts are the strongest, the purest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in watching the show too, when Nicole has a feeling, I feel like as an audience member, I'm immediately listening to what she has to say or how she's reacting, because I know that that's probably going to be the true through line on whomever it is she's reacting to. So
yeah. Very interesting, definitely.
Speaking of writing, Emily, comparing Lost Girl and Wynonna Earp, is it harder to write stories in a world with so many existing rules around the lore, Selkies, succubi, so on, or where you create the rules as you go?
God,
great question.
I know, it's so different. I feel like Lost Girl changed my life, right? But it wasn't technically mine. I really want to shout out to Michelle Lovretta, who created the show and brought me with her. I just think like, 100% props, snaps. Like she is probably one of the best world builders I've ever had the joy of working with. She just is such an extraordinary, she just creates such an amazing fantasy playground. Wynonna Earp was such a joy to create because it felt a little bit more like mine, but rules are really hard in genre because you have to really walk the tightrope of lots of things can change. People need to be able to die and come back from the dead or there's no stakes, but some deaths have to be permanent, for example. Like you have to kind of know what your own rules are, what the audience will tolerate, even in a genre landscape, or else I feel like if you pull on that thread too hard, the whole sweater falls apart. Lost Girl feels like a long time ago for me in a weird way, but it absolutely changed my life. And once I worked on it, I realized I never wanted to not work in genre because I love the opportunity to comment on the human condition, but make it really fun for people. They both had their challenges, and I feel so privileged that people have responded to both.
Yeah, gosh, Emily, I love you so much.
Thanks.
Sorry, momentary gush. My apologies. Sorry,
I
apologize for loving you, but you know,
guys, Jen is so drunk. I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Yeah. Kat, there's a long-standing conversation within the fandom about Nicole and whether or not she has a nickname. So if you could choose a shortened nickname for Nicole, what would it be? Shelley Scarrow has suggested on Twitter that Nicole does not care for Nikki. Would you agree with that? And Emily, please chime in as well.
I don't think she cares for Nikki.
I would never cross Shelley Scarrow because that was a freaking genius. But I think Nicole's right. I think Jeremy tried it once. Kat, does that sound familiar?
Nikki Nanders.
Nikki Nanders, and she's like, you know what, Nicole is fine.
Nicole's fine. Yeah.
It wasn't just the full phrase that she was upset about. It was.
I think it was all of it. All and the whole thing strung together. Man, a nickname. I don't think Nicole's one for nicknames. I think she likes her name. And I think maybe if she has a nickname, it might be like a secret sexy one with Waverly that nobody knows about.
Go forth, fan fiction. Jen, this is your realm.
Believe me, they've gone forth. They have.
Yeah, I feel like Nicole's worked so hard to be taken seriously. Like, she's a lesbian and she's a cop and she's in a small town. Like, I don't think she would take kindly to being diminished. I feel like sometimes nicknames, like, I'm fine with a nickname by people I love, but I wouldn't like a nickname from someone who I thought was trying to patronize me.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah. I've always, like, for me, it used to be that Kat's become more of my main name. But when I was growing up, it was like people who knew me really well would call me Kat. And then Katherine was still like, that was like the division between, like what Emily's saying, between people who I was more intimate with, friends, but not family, but my family was always Katherine. So the nicknames are weird, but that's a great way of putting it, Emily. I think Nicole's worked really hard to be taken seriously and be respected in her position in her life. And I think she takes pride in her name.
Do you go by Natalie? Or do you go by Natalie?
Never.
Oh my God, I think I called you Nat. I'm so sorry.
I think I did too. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, we're going to write an apology.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry too, but that's interesting.
No, I don't mind if people call me Nat, but I would never like encourage it, you know.
You wouldn't introduce yourself as Natalie.
No, I'm always Natalie. And
really good to know.
Yeah.
Very good to know.
Yeah.
My mom calls me Kelly.
Really? That's so cute.
That's really cute.
I love that.
I would never have thought of that. That's adorable.
But only my mom, so never try.
I never will. Yeah. I'm going to call you Ms. Krill just to be safe for the next little while. So I'm just kidding.
But Natalie, you actually seem to have a bigger presence on social media since attending Wynonna Earp conventions, and you also have your amazing website, Pieces of Me. Can you tell me what it's been like becoming a little more involved in social media, and also your website and how that's coming along for you?
Yeah, well, I still don't do the Twitter very much. I seem to fall off all the time with Twitter, but I'm quite active on Instagram. But I really just, I guess, like with the following that's come from Wynonna Earp and other shows that I've been a part of, you know, I've got so many messages, and I'm sure Kat, you both you and Emily can relate to this too, is just, you know, the heartfelt messages that I get that I just like can't ignore, you know. So I feel like a sense of responsibility to try and connect with them in an authentic way as much as I can. It can be a lot at times, but I try to stay involved with it. And Pieces of Me, just you know, I've always danced and written poetry and painted as a way to cope, like with my own personal struggles. And I think, you know, people may see me and they may think like, oh, she seems so happy and whatever, but there's a lot more going on that I've had to work through. So that was my way of kind of sharing that with the people that follow me and that reach out to me about their own struggles. And I never really know what to say. I'm not a professional in that realm, but the way that it's helped me is with art. So I thought to create this blog to just kind of showcase that, how I move through my own struggles, and hopefully encourage people to find their own ways to move it. You know, it's like, I feel like it's important to try and channel it when you're feeling anxiety or depression or whatever it may be.
Oh, absolutely. I think in today's society, it's getting better, certainly, but for a very long time, there was a de-emphasis on arts and self-expression, and it's really nice to seeing that there's a turn coming in the road here toward a more positive place, where I feel we can all utilize art and dance and writing or whatever we need to be able to express ourselves and not keep things bottled up, which I think is, maybe a reason why we've had some problems in the last quarter century or so. And so thank you so much for putting yourself out there and sharing that part of you. And I think it's really interesting that you and Dominique have Dirty Dancing in common.
I know. It's bizarre. And we know, like, we worked with a lot of the same people through those two productions. So it's pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Kat, we've seen Nicole make some nerdy references and wear a giant cat kaiju sweater. Is she secretly a geek too, or is that more for our benefit as viewers? Also, you're a Sailor Moon fan. What would your magical girl transformation look like?
Oh my God. The Nicole, I don't see Nicole. I think it's the influence of those around her. I don't think Nicole is like super into pop culture or like geeks up. I think she geeks out more about like hiking and nature and cool knots and rappelling and like
Cool
different
knots,
species and tracking stuff, and like I think she geeks out about that. But for me, Sailor Moon. I mean, Sailor Moon was just such a thing for me growing up. I like had all the dolls and would dress up, and I think seeing these super powered girls, what would my transformation look like? Well, I don't know. I mean, how do you even describe those transformations? They like whirl around and there's a lot of colors. I think it would be something like there would be an incorporation of like a body slam. I would love to like have her like body slam into something, and then there's like an explosion. I don't know, something different.
That is totally different.
Not spinning. That's the only thing that like these like elegant spins. I don't know. It doesn't seem very me, but I would love to like her transformation is like that she runs into a wall, but instead of falling over, she, I don't know, like explodes her into something, her superhero costume. I don't know.
That's fantastic.
But
this is all going in the Splash remake. I don't know.
Amazing. Yeah. But that was like the first show I remember watching, because I didn't watch a lot of TV as a kid. All my friends make fun of me because I know no pop culture references. Like I'm not at all pop culture. I don't know who actors are. Like I don't know any of it. So I came to acting really more through like really loving theater and reading and like stories. And I didn't watch a lot of TV. So I think for me, that was one of the first and only things I really remember following and like religiously as a kid watching, and like I had the soundtrack and
cute.
It's awesome. I was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan myself.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Emily, I got a behind the scenes production-y question for you.
Sure.
SAG-AFTRA, IATSE, and IBT recently released their collaborated production safety guidelines in the age of COVID. Do you think the Canadian unions will implement similar or even more stringent guidelines?
I don't just think I know. We are certainly looking at the back half of season 4. Obviously, Alberta, Canada is doing pretty okay as far as cases. They're on phase 2 or 3, I believe. And look, we're looking back to get back on set with everybody. Our cast and crew safety is first and foremost in our mind. We just can't abuse that trust. At the same time, we're quite a small production in a weird way. Like we're not Avengers. So how is that going? What's the balance? I think that we are entering a new phase. We have to minimize the risks till they're as close to zero as possible. At the same time, people want to get back to work. I'm having daily conversations with my producers about it. It's interesting times. And God bless this fandom, I would just say, for being so understanding. Like people are just like, we want you back, but under safe circumstances. And I feel like, God, has anything ever defined Earpdom more than that? But we are looking at all our options. At the same time, look, there's a certain amount of intimacy that happens on the set. I don't know if anyone's going to kiss, but maybe, but also things like stunts, being in an enclosed space. Like it's almost like athletics. So you just can't be casual about it. I think we're looking at a lot of testing, a lot of limiting who we're bringing on set. I don't know if we're having a 5,000 person, orc attack. Good news, we never did. We never had more than 4 orcs, so we got this. But look, I'm all jokes aside, like safety first. This cast and crew has given everything to Earp, and I just will not compromise their safety, and none of us will behind the scenes. So.
And none of us in the fandom want that either.
I know that.
We want you safe. Kat, how do you think a potentially less touchy-feely version of Way Hot will affect how they relate to each other or communicate their affection?
A less touchy-feely version of Way. Oof. I feel like there's gonna have to be some sort of supernatural reason why they can't touch each other or something. It will be so strange.
If anyone can make sexy can make sexy hazmat suit makeout session work, it's you two.
Totally.
I'm
game for anything. I mean, we have been known for a few hard eyes in our day.
Yeah.
I seem to remember a very special glance from the porch that was quite effective. We've made it work in the past, but or I feel like Dom and I will just have to bubble together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's true. I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, no, actually though.
I know.
But that's gonna, I just can't imagine telling the story without, for all of us, like you said, Emily, without the physical. It would just be a whole other level of like trying to get around something that felt so wrong that I don't know. I mean,
you've talked
I'm
about
all for bubbling with the team.
Yeah, and Dominique and you've both talked about how Waverly's love language is touch. So
I think it will. I think there's only so many longing glances we can do. We could definitely throw a couple in.
Why did we do the ring and the oven mitt last year? If I'd known this was going to happen,
I know,
where they couldn't actually touch each other. How many oven mitts can I play? No.
Hazmat suit.
There's a scene from the Naked Gun movie. I don't know if you're familiar.
I have seen it. I feel like a few Earpers have sent it, but please describe. Yeah.
Well, basically, both characters are completely ensconced in a massive giant prophylactics. That's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It is completely safe.
Completely safe.
People like pleather. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think with dancing around it, I think testing is going to be key. Like testing and trust and limiting the number of people on set. And Kat, I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you. I absolutely don't want to. I just mean, I'd rather do it safely without compromising what the show is, even if it means waiting.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's how I feel too. I just feel like it would be like it would be funny and fun and creative for like the first couple. And it would be like, okay, this just feels weird now. And not like it's not serving the story.
Yeah, we definitely want to be able to tell the story and tell it well. So I'd say stay safe, and then when it's safe to tell the story again, we will be
45 minutes of making out. I heard you.
I don't know how that advances the plot forward, but I don't think we'll get any complaints.
Just kissing and talking.
Kissing and talking.
So Emily, before I move on to audience or Twitter questions, I have one more question for you, and it's a bit heavy and deep. So if you want to pass on it, obviously,
no problem.
A representation of marginalized groups within Wynonna Earp's storytelling has continued to improve on itself season after season. What plans are in place to increase the Black, Indigenous, people of color presence behind the scenes in production and even in the writer's room?
Such a great question. It is a heavy question. I am a decision maker in Canadian TV. I have absolutely no right to pass on this question because I have the ability to pull people up onto my team. There are so many conversations being had about this. I would really like to shout out to all the writers in Canadian TV. We are really talking to our guild right now, which is our writers union, about how to improve this. It's a huge problem in Canadian TV. We just aren't getting people in the pipeline, for lack of a better term, fast enough. There just aren't enough people who are BIPOC or Indigenous getting trained and getting into the system. You know what I mean? And we have to take responsibility for that. I think one thing that is challenging, and this is in no way an excuse, is that like our numbers are limited. Do you know what I mean? Like my writing room is 5 people, and we do have representation, without me wanting to out anyone or speak for them. We do try. I am very conscious that if I have a choice between someone who is a person of color or queer or Indigenous, I feel like it's my job as a showrunner to pull them up and hire them and help them. It's an ongoing discussion, and 100%, it's just simply not happening fast enough. So we have to, in this environment more than ever, we just can't wait around for other people to do it. We have to increase funding for programs for people who are from marginalized communities. The other thing I think is really important is like giving those people the support and the tools to tell their own stories. Like, we need more Black showrunners and queer showrunners to tell their own stories. Like, it can't just be kind of me pulling people up. We have to get more different stories on television. And what a time to tell all these stories that have never been told. I mean, it's awesome. You know what I mean? I mean, it's an ongoing struggle, Jen. That's the truth. But like, I will never, ever fault someone for asking me that question, because I am part of the solution and I have to take responsibility for that. So.
Well, thank you. And thank you for stepping up to it as well.
Hopefully. You can ask me that every time. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just making a note. Okay. future interview? Check. All right. All right. So I'm going to transition over to questions I selected from the Twitter thread that QFX posted late last night, or actually mid last night, depending on where you were in the world. Natalie, I'm going to ask you this question first. I saw it, and it's absolutely a beautiful question, and I must share it with you. It's from Aurelie Rillo, at Aurelie Rillo. Both Nicole and Willa have had difficult childhoods. One having never anything but selfish parents, and the other being Ward's pet. Both went through a traumatic event and were rescued by a protector who has loved them. It has impacted who they've become. So fate versus choices. Was there an event or person in your childhood that had a special impact on who you've become?
Oh God, that like makes me want to cry.
Aww. And you're killing it. This is such a good panel.
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, my stepfather. My stepfather was, I do have a relationship with my real father, but he was sick when I was younger. And so my stepfather came along and was just this amazing person in my life. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Kat, that question was also directed toward you. Is there anyone you'd like to talk about, or?
You know, the first person who comes to mind is actually my high school teacher. His name is Reiner Nowak, and he runs Burlington Student Theater, which is like this community, this amazing, it's like a step up from community theater. It's like amazing youth theater group. And he's a very open, proud, loud, joyful gay man. And he was my teacher in Catholic school, in a place that like he was not really allowed to be himself. And then I remember I was a part of his theater program, and just like this whole, not a different side of him, but like a fuller expression of who he really was in theater. And he just like, he impacted me on so many levels, because he like refused to not be who he was, despite the fact that every day he went to work in an environment that didn't support him. And he believed in me so much, like from a theater point of view and gave me so many opportunities. And, but I just like learned so much about the type of person I think I wanted to be, the type of energy I wanted to put into the world, from him. And he's still doing it, and he's still running that program. And he just posted, I just saw a post that he did the other day. Burlington is like a really waspy town where I grew up, but they painted a pride rainbow in our downtown for June. And that's like it's just like, he made a post and he was just like, I never thought I would see this in Burlington. And he's like a man who's worked so hard in this community that was like pretty close-minded. And I'm just like really lucky to have had him to inspire me growing up. He made a huge, huge impact on my life.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. That's wonderful. Do
yeah.
you happen to know the website for that theater organization?
It's called Burlington Student Theater. I think the Twitter handle is like Burlington Performing. You can totally find it. If you just Google Burlington Student Theater, you can find him. His name's Reiner Nowak. You can't miss him. He's sparkly and bubbly and amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's so wonderful.
And if there's any kids who live in Burlington, like you have to go to student theater.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to, get the word out.
It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Emily, from @ScriptedBy, the original pilot script included Willa instead of Waverly. What prompted the change?
Ugh, I've tried to get that script off the internet, but it's fine. No, it's so fine. I'm so teasing you guys. It's fine. It's just like, you would understand this, Jen. Like, honestly, I think the pilot script goes through 30 drafts. So it's just like mortifying when your first draft gets posted and you're like, ew. With all due respect to everything that Natalie made Willa, I think I just decided I preferred the name Waverly for the sister. But you know what? Oh my God, so much has changed since I first came up with the pilot. The Willa character was like more, the three sisters were going to be more present, and the Willa character, the older sister, who I guess was Waverly, was like a lawyer in the big city. Like all three sisters were kind of part of it. And then I just realized if I wanted to tell a story about grief and loss and fraud syndrome, like Wynonna ultimately taking up a mantle she never thought she would have to, that we needed that trauma. So I wish it was a better answer. I think I literally just preferred the name at the end of the day.
That is as valid an answer as any. I mean, gosh. As you say, when you're starting out, your rough draft it's your rough draft.
You just try stuff, right? And
you're just throwing stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's going to stick? What's going to work? Yeah. Now this one's from multiple Twitter accounts. The big question based on the trailer. What trailer from yesterday? Kat, what was it like as Nicole getting to punch Wynonna?
Oh, it's so fun. I mean, Melanie's such a great sport. And I remember shooting that scene and the sun was literally setting. And so we were like, we just had to get it. We had to get it before the sun went down. And I mean, I think for Nicole, it was such a perfectly scripted moment of like, talk about like putting all this feeling, emotion, anger, rage, disappointment, frustration, like all the things you want to say into just one action. It was like it was just the perfect, it was like the only option and the best option in that moment that she could have done. And I was really excited to see it in the trailer. I think it's simultaneously very funny and very poignant, and the perfect beat. And it was just, I just love doing, I mean, there's no one in the cast that you ever see and you're like, oh, I don't want to do a scene with that person. Like, we're just so blessed with a fabulously well-rounded cast, but nothing can take away from, the Melanie Scrifano. And she's just the most fun to play with because she's game and down and so present for anything. And it was fun. That was a fun day. That was a good day.
It was a glorious moment to behold, and I look forward to seeing it in its full context.
Yes, I can't wait for you guys to see it.
So, of course, I've got one silly fan question for you before we wrap up today. This is from user @GoldenWaffles. Starved for new content, some of the fandom has begun shipping the show's mugs, specifically Optimug Prime with Doll's X-Mug, known as Optics is the ship name. What would your character's ideal mugs look like, and would they romance or befriend other mugs?
Oh my God.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Fair.
It's wild.
It's out there.
Yeah.
Like if your character had a coffee mug, what would it look like?
A mug, an actual.
Yeah, like a coffee mug.
Like an actual mug.
Like an actual mug. Not
Okay.
the face, but like an actual mug. What would it look like? And would it find itself in ceramic romance with another character's mug?
Okay. I think I have an answer. So I think Nicole's would be like Garfield in a police uniform. which would be like completely wouldn't romance anyone. Like would not have
It's a
the time
business
of
mug.
day.
It's a business mug.
A business mug doesn't have time for games and romance. Just can't be bothered. Just above it all. Very aloof.
Mondays.
The Monday mug, Garfield the cat in police uniform. I feel like it's got to exist.
Oh yeah. If you think you're not getting 100 at the next con, ma'am.
Hope you have room on your shelves with all of your other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
What's Willa's mug? Her one mug in the treehouse. Oh no.
Oh, so morbid. It would it's either one she made out of like tree bark, or I don't know why this kept coming to my mind, but Darth Vader, and and on the side, like instead of like Luke, I am your father, it's like fuck my dad.
Yeah, daddy issues.
Daddy issues. There we go.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I am not a character. I'm just a writer, but I do have a mug that was gifted to me by my friend Noelle Carbone, who is an amazing writer. And it's a quote I said once, and it just says, "Get it together, lesbians." And I just mean like every time anything happens in the fandom, they explode. It's so amazing. And my mug would get it on with all your mugs. All your mugs. My mug is up for anything. So wash my mug is what I'm saying. It's up for everything. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. You've got a poly mug.
I've got a poly mug. Yeah,
yes.
my mug is like whatever. Life is short. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it has been such a joy chatting with the three of you today. Thank you again to our ASL interpreters for stepping in and making sure that this panel is accessible to everyone. I am so excited for July 26th at 10 p.m. Sundays are the new Fridays. It's going to be the most glorious shit show.
I hope so. Thank you, Jen. That was such a great,
that was wonderful,
thoughtful
Jen.
panel. And thank you, CloudCon, for making this accessible to so many people. It's just lovely to have this in 2020.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the interwebs.
See you on the interwebs.
Bye.
Bye.